turn this off. So, yeah.
All right. Hello, Miss Melissa, and welcome to the Overcome Yourself podcast. So, first and foremost, I want you to tell me all about you and your business and, what solution you provide for your clients.
Thank you for having me, Nicole. I'm Melissa, and I work as a spiritual coach and mentor. And I help people really get clear on their purpose, understand who they are, what their potential is, and probably most importantly, how to get to where they want to be.
Love it.
Yes, and I work through a variety of methods. This isn't, just one thing. I work with healing. I work with the Akashic records, which are about looking at our past lives and our past influences, our beliefs, our karma, all of that stuff, and what's going on there. But also with future goals, the law of attraction, the laws of the universe, and all the things that are really working with us to help us to get to that place.
That is awesome. And you are in the UK, is that correct?
I am in the UK, yeah, but I have
awesome
clients.
Accent.
Thank you very much. I have clients all over the world. Thank you to COVID, really, when it forced my business to go online, and suddenly, now I have clients in the States, in Canada, in the Philippines, in Australia, and that is also,
you're worldwide.
I know, isn't that exciting?
So cool. But tell us a little bit about Melissa. Like, what does Melissa do when she's not spiritually helping all her clients? What's your favorite thing? Where do you like to go in the UK?
Okay, so I live in Hertfordshire, which is just outside of London, and I really was a London girl growing up. I kind of lived in the suburbs of London, and I went to school in Camden in London, really trendy town. And it's really, spirituality is my life. It's not something that I turn on and off. So I'm very blessed to actually, my work is very much my hobby and my joy. But I do other things too. I have 3 young boys.
Oh,
My eldest is 9, and I have a 6 and a 4-year-old who have just broken up from school this week. So they will be keeping me very busy for the next 6 weeks or so that we have here.
Oh, that's nice.
And yeah, so yeah, when I'm not doing my work, I spend time with them. But I also, I'm a real, I don't know what to call myself, spiritual geek. I'm literally watching the videos and reading the books and playing with the cards and going to circles and going to workshops, and it's just, that's what brings me joy. And doing yoga, I'm a bit of a yoga, it's quite recent, it's only 9 months or so, but for me, when I'm in it, I'm in it.
I love it. And isn't it awesome that we have, because of the pandemic and we had to pivot, and it's really cool that we get to do what we love, because what's the point of dredging through life and not having fun, right? So I love that you're so in tune with what you're doing, and that you just get to be passionate about what you do and help others with with your gifts. So that's awesome. But it wasn't always this way. I want to hear the story about how you used to be a car salesperson, right?
I did.
Tell me about that. How did you get from there to here?
It is a bit of a pivot. I understand. I say this, right? When I was at university, and I was studying marketing there, I always loved cars. Cars was my thing. I enjoyed them. Even when before I was driving, I'd be able to name what the car is just by their headlights. I don't know where it came from. It was a bit of a thing. And so when I landed a job in my local car showroom, I was like, well, this is very glamorous. I don't know what they're like where you are, but here the car showrooms are super glamorous and sparkly and lovely, and I was 18, and it it was all good. Anyway, I was working in service, which I hate to say it, but it was kind of like the customer complaints department. You know, everyone was there. It was distress purchase and all of this stuff. It was quite overwhelming. I was really shy, actually, when I started in there, believe it or not. And that job really helped me come out of myself. However, I used to look down on, I say look down, not in a like I'm above them way, but literally I was sitting high up in the showroom.
Okay.
I used to look down on the salespeople and think, well, that job looks way more glamorous than what I'm doing. They get paid well, they get a nice car, they do all of this stuff. And so, you know, after a few years, after I graduated and I was like, yeah, you know, I'd quite like to have a career here. I got a job with Mercedes-Benz in the sales department. And I must admit, it was super fun for a long time. Because I got to drive it, one of the perks was you get a nice Mercedes on your driveway, which got cleaned every week and all of this lovely stuff. And I got to spend time talking to people. And I remember once, and I got some amazing training, right? And I remember once in the training, they said, you know, think about what it is that you really do. And it's not that you sell cars, like, what do you really do? And I remember saying, I help make people's dreams come true. And I was like, yes, I love that. That feels really aligned to me. I really like that. And, you know, that really helped me shift how I saw what I was doing, because the flip side to selling cars was it was 50 hours a week. It was a very male dominated environment. There was sales targets, there was pressures, there was, you know, it was tough. It was a tough job. And I was, for the most part, the only female in the department, which, you know, came with its own challenges. So I was, you know, I took the good with the bad, but it was, I always had this thing that I wanted to help people, and I wanted to help people get the most out of themselves. And at that point, I thought, well, maybe if I can help people become salespeople, help people, you know, train them in the cars and all of that. I was like, I am with my spirituality. I was a bit of a geek with all of this. So that was my plan. I did a bit of coaching training, and then I found Reiki, or Reiki found me, you could say. And a series of coincidental synchronicities led me to my Reiki training. I took my Reiki 1. 3 weeks later, I remember walking into the showroom, and it was literally as if my whole body was screaming at me. It was like, get out, you can't be here, it's too much. And I remember walking over to my receptionist and going, I can't be here anymore, which she'd probably heard 1,000 times. I opened the paper, there was a job there. I was like, I'm going to get that job. It was literally the page I opened, a full page ad. I was like, I'm going to get that job. Went for the interview, got the job. It was, you know, it wasn't quite what I was looking for. I was torn between, do I stay, do I go? And I'm lying in bed, and I put it out to the universe. I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And the song, I was listening to the radio, the song came on the radio. Do you drive a fast car? Is it fast enough that we can fly away? And I was like, Then it goes, you need to make a decision, leave tonight or live and die this way. And I was like, my whole body goosebumps. Sorry for the singing. I handed my notice in the next day, and that was that. It was complete synchronistic. I knew I was making the right choice. It was a big leap from where I was going, but the universe had spoken. So, you know, that led to another job where I was really fortunate to get some NLP training, so neuro-linguistic programming. I was again helping apprentices at this point become the best that they can be, and that felt really aligned. Then I had my kid and left, and I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. I really wanted to be in coaching or that kind of thing. And yeah, it just being the spiritual nerd that I was, and I was going to all the groups and learning as much as I could, I found myself sitting in circle and found this natural ability that I had, and this joy that when I was in there growing and reading for people and helping people. And what I realized is that my style of reading was about healing. It wasn't about, oh, I can pick up that you used to, you know, be like, one thing was like, oh, your husband had a brown car or whatever it was. It wasn't about that. It was about finding the joy and really receiving that alignment from what I did. So yeah, and again, another series of synchronistic coincidences of people that I met and readings that I had and workshops that I attended led me to becoming, first of all, a healer with Reiki, then a reader with tarot and oracle cards, and then a teacher through Reiki, through the Akashic records, and now kind of more of a coach, mentor, space holder.
That is awesome. I love it. And you keep saying coincidences, but is there really such thing as a coincidence? Like, isn't that just, the path? And sometimes when we're going through some things, you're like, oh, what a coincidence that this happened to me. But then you look back and you're like, oh, that happened so that I could be ready for this. And I didn't even know it. So that's super cool. I love that. And another thing that stuck out to me is one of the things I talk about is the importance of perception. So you were able to spot the opening, the opportunity, because you were open to it, and so that's really cool that you were able to silence the voices enough that you heard the universe. That's beautiful, man. And so go ahead.
That's what I want to encourage people to do, because I think if I can do that, and I can get from really being in a very corporate, quite sort of patriarchal background, and then really move into this, which is completely aligned with what I do. It never feels like work, that anyone can do this. And I have to say, it's not just, oh, anyone can be a reader or a healer. And it's not just about that. It's really about finding that soul-led purpose. And that might be running podcasts, that might be running sales groups, that might be, it could be anything. But if it's aligned with you, then you will find that the universe will keep on putting things in your path to help you get to where you want to be.
That is very true. And sometimes I feel like I kind of fought it because it's what makes us unique. Sometimes we see it as a weakness. We're like, oh, I can't do it because of this. And it wasn't until I leaned into what I thought was a weakness that I realized that's where your strength lies. That's what makes you unique. And so having those unique ideas, having that random business idea, like, oh, but nobody else is doing it, that could be the opportunity, right? And we just have to leave ourselves open to it sometimes and let ourselves do those things. Like in my book, I wrote about this one person who does Dungeons and Masters. So he's like the one that organizes all the campaigns. And so his job, like he was really good at it. And so he started booking out parties. And so now his whole job is literally doing what he loves, setting up campaigns. People come over, they pay him to run the whole story. That's incredible, and if you don't allow yourself to do that, just lean into what you love. Oh, another great example, my little brother. When he was little, he used to play video games all the time. And they would get mad. They're like, you need to go outside, you need to do this. But that dude ended up going to college, and like he can write programs in the background because, for video games. So he teams up with artists. And so sometimes, it's like a weakness. Everybody thought that was his weakness. Oh, you're spending too much time playing video games. But at the end of the day, it was a strength that he had. He ended up getting a whole degree and has a whole job in like computer stuff because he really liked video games. So I think it's beautiful that you realize, this is my power, this is my strength. Let me help other people and make a living too, right? That's the whole point.
You have made like the best point, and it is our uniqueness that differentiates us from everyone else. When I was at school, it was always, oh, she just sits in the back of the class and she twiddles her hair, and she applied herself a bit more. And it's like, now I spend my life daydreaming. Isn't that awesome? And I remember, oh my gosh, I had this boss, and he said to me, because I used to like wing it, right? It would be like, I'd wing it. I'd be like, oh, what's happened? And he'd say to me, fail to prepare, and prepare to fail. And I was like, oh my God, like that just really got me. And I took that with me even when I started this business. I was like, I need to make sure I've got everything there, and I've written my notes, and I'd run my workshops and kind of type all my stuff out. And then I realized one day, when I just did not have time to prepare beforehand, the kids and all of that, and I had this workshop, and of course it was the busiest one that, and there was all strangers coming in. I was like, oh my God, like I haven't done anything, just gonna have to see what comes. And it was the most powerful channeling that I had given to date. And I remember, kind of going into the meditation beforehand, like, help me. And I just kept hearing this, just trust, just trust, just trust. And I realized that actually what I was doing in that moment was overcoming all of this conditioning, that you had to be a certain way, that it had to be this way. And, spirit doesn't work like that. And I can't go into a reading especially prepared. Like, how do you prepare for that? I've never met them before. I don't know what's going on. And actually the less I know about them or of them, often the better, because then there's no influence. So it's, I talk about how, I'm about aligning people to where they want to go and helping them understand and hear those whispers and, put that out there, universe, what do I do? But then also understanding that we have years, lifetimes, perhaps even, of conditioning, of beliefs, of traumas, of even collective stuff going on that are maybe tearing us away or pulling us away or distracting us even from the path that we ultimately came down here to live. Which is why it's not all, oh yeah, you can get there and here's the business tool, or here's the way of marketing yourself, or here's the aligned vision for you. It's also, okay, like, what do we need to do just to help lift that, to change that, maybe bring something back if we, like a soul retrieval, or break those contracts, break those cords, reframe something. It's all part of this package. We're just these energy balls that are just trying to move to this aligned place.
I like to talk about teaching my clients to take imperfect action. Imperfect action is better than nothing. So if the email is not perfect, it's okay, send it out. Once I sent out an email and I totally forgot to change out all the logos. I didn't have any clickable links in the email, and it went out to like 2,000 people. And you know what? I freaked out for a second. I was like, just send another email. And nobody said anything. Like, no, I didn't get an angry email back. You know what I mean? Like, take imperfect action, right? So I think that goes along with what you're saying. And another thing that I thought about was what we talked about in the beginning, is being able to take imperfect action and being able to pivot. Sometimes we have to change our strategy. Sometimes we have to change what we do, change something. And so we have to be flexible enough to, pivot.
We always think of
right?
Friends reference. Right? Do you always do that?
Okay, you thought of it too, because I was totally thinking of the couch too. Pivot. Yeah,
everyone listening to this is doing the pivot thing. Yeah, we do. And this is another thing for me about the law of attraction, which I'm sure many of your listeners are aware of, is you hear this thing about be specific, see exactly what it is that you want, really create that. And I understand that is, for some people, that's the way to be. They're the preparers, they're the ones with this very specific thing. But for me, it's more about, okay, how do I want to feel? So when I was sharing my story about selling cars, what made it easier for me was when I thought, okay, well, actually what I'm doing is I'm helping people achieve their dreams. I'm still doing that.
Pivot.
But I've pivoted into a very different way of doing that. So actually, in some ways, you could look back and go, well, the universe was guiding me to that. Well, this is part of my thing. This is one of the, you know, my bosses used to say, you just make it look so easy. Do you not like really care what you're doing? And I'm like, I do. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing, but I'm not pushing. I'm not like that, or buy my car. It was more, you know, I want to help you genuinely. And so I think if we can be very clear about what it is we want, what our purpose is, how we want to feel in that day-to-day life, how we want to influence, you know, this altruism thing, this thing about making it bigger than yourself and how you're going to show up, then if an opportunity comes this way and it's like, yes, I can try it, come out of my comfort zone, see if it's something that is, you know, expansive, then sure, let's pivot that way and see what beautiful journey that's going to take me on to.
And the only way to know is to try, right? As a matter of fact, I was talking with one of my clients yesterday, and she had written some blog posts, and I was like, well, we should take a look at them and do this and this and this. She's like, I wish I would have known this when I started. And I was like, hold up. You wouldn't have even known to ask this question when you started. So the fact that you've gotten here and now you know that you have to ask this question, now you know that you have to you've done all of this right. You just got to tweak this a little bit. And she's like, oh, it goes back to perception. You know, how do we look at it? And tiny little pivots, you know, taking imperfect action, because if not, we don't know what we don't know. We have to try.
You know, Nicole, somebody said to me today, just on a comment on a post, I wish I could trust more. I wish I could trust more. And I said, well, that tells me that you already know that you know. We were talking about spirit work and, you know, receiving spirit information. I was like, that tells me that you already know that you know. You've already got that. So now it's just one teeny tiny little step to just go, okay, I'm going to action that. I'm going to take that on board and I'm going to see what happens. And she was like, yes, that was it. Like, it would never have been thought of it, you know, where this barrier of, I don't trust. It's like, oh, well, actually, maybe I'm getting something. Never considered that. And now I'm moving forward. So yes, imperfect action. I want to tell you this, you know, for 2 years, as my business was starting, you know, and I was just kind of going from having like one client a week to maybe 3 or 4 and running some workshops. My mantra, my sentence of the year was to take inspired action. That was it. Every morning, today I'm going to take inspired action, whatever that was. If that was calling the person, or, you know, reading, just opening a book and reading that page, or doing something that made my tummy butterfly a little bit because it was a bit out of my comfort zone, it's take inspired action. And for 3 years I had that written down, and now that's just part of my everyday. That's what I do.
I love it. So how can people get in touch with you? They want to work with you. They want to like heal, and they want to be able to move forward. So I know you're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, you're on YouTube. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I started to run a weekly show about a couple of months ago on my Facebook page, Melissa Amos Intuitive Guidance, every Monday. And this is called Soul Speak, and it's all about just free jamming about anything to do with spirituality. So we've got topics on the clairs, on the Akashic records, on the law of attraction, on shadow work, on I don't remember. We've got loads. And I upload them onto my YouTube channel, which I understand the link's going to be in here. And yeah, and if you can join me live on a Monday night, then you can ask questions, and it's, you know, very inclusive. So I'd love to have you on there. I'm actually just setting up a membership site. So depending on when you are listening to this, it may be available, which you can find the details on my website, which is melissa-amos.com. And if it's okay, Nicole, I'd love to offer your viewers a free gift.
Go for it, please. Yes, we love free things.
So I developed a meditation exercise to really help you understand how spirit talk to you. And when I talk about spirit, I'm talking about your guides, your higher self, your intuition, your understanding. And it's available as a download. Just head over to my website, melissa-amos.com/free-gift, and you can download that on me.
Awesome. Okay, so all of the links that she mentioned are definitely going to be in the show notes. I'm super excited. Thank you so much. That sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to be downloading that and checking that out, because I could use all the guidance I could get, right? So do you have any final words about overcoming yourself, about being an entrepreneur? What words of wisdom do you have to share with our fellow entrepreneurs here?
We all have a unique place here, and based on our gifts, our talents, our challenges that we've overcome, and those dreams that we've had, they're all going to give you an idea of what you are here for. Often, most of the time, you can monetize that. It is just about putting yourself out there, letting yourself be seen for the downfalls I am quoting here, that you may have been installed in you. Put them out there, do it, face that fear. I guarantee you will touch somebody, you will help somebody in a way that is so profound you won't know why you didn't do it before. It's there.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Melissa. This has been absolutely amazing. You are so enlightening, and I just love that you're following your heart and doing your thing. And thank you. I'm so excited about the free gift. Oh my God, that's going to be so cool. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, Melissa. And I will see you in my group. Make sure you join. I just rebranded my group. It's now the Chill Entrepreneur Spot. So I will see you in there. Okay.
You sure will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll talk soon.